The Sarah Carter Show is sponsored by MyPillow.com. That's MyPillow.com, folks. Get your sheets, get your dog beds, get your pillows at MyPillow.com. And remember to use the promo code Carter. That's CARTER. Use that promo code Carter for all your big discounts. Big show. It's going to be a really big show. We've got the greatest mayor, I think, that ever existed in New York City. That's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. He's a newsmaker. You all know that. Every time I turn around, Rudy Giuliani's on the news fighting crime or something else. But Rudy's going to be here. He's going to talk about everything from the Hunter Biden scandal and the hard drive to Borat. And I know you all want to hear his answers to that. So you're going to have to stick with us. This is going to be a big show because he's breaking news on this show. He's talking about what he's seen. He's got the emails. He's got the text messages. These are Hunter Biden's personal texts and emails in this hard drive that was actually given to him by a gentleman in Delaware who allegedly was had received that from Hunter Biden to fix his laptop and realized that there was a lot of information on the hard drive that needed to be reported to the FBI and as well as to Mayor Giuliani. Why is this important, America? Because we're dealing with foreign entities here. I want you to think about what happened to President Trump over the last 4.5 years. I want you to think about what happened to this president, about how a foreign spy from Great Britain named Christopher Steele was hired by a private company here in the United States, Fusion GPS, which was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee to not just do an research, not opposition research on President Trump, but to basically try to connect President Trump to Russia, on complete lies. Now we know that. Please, if you have not read the congressional reports, I tell you, go read them. Read Devin Nunes's report, read the Inspector General's report at the Department of Justice, read the reports written by Senator Ron Johnson, look at the websites of Jim Jordan and others who were on this investigation in Congress as well as the Senate. Chuck Grassley has phenomenal stuff on his website that exposes what happened here. And even more importantly now, we have all the notes, internal FBI memos, emails, text messages. And by the way, CIA director, the former CIA director, John Brennan's own handwritten notes about a briefing he did with President Barack Obama that was hidden from President Trump's lawyers, as well as everyone else on Capitol Hill. Handwritten notes by John Brennan, he's admitted to this, that he reported to President Barack Obama that Hillary, allegedly they intercepted some conversations, agents, spies, whatever you want to say, from Russia that were talking about the fact that Hillary Clinton had approved an operation against President Trump, basically a political operation to connect him to Russia. It just makes sense, right? So John Brennan himself, this is President Barack Obama's appointee to the CIA who worked with him in the White House, briefed Barack Obama on this. This is not made up stuff. I know it sounds like a crazy, wild, incredible movie, something that doesn't seem like it should be real, but that's what happened here in the United States. And President Trump went through impeachment and those impeachment trials, and they were hiding all this information. And by the way, this hard drive, and I'm going to go into it just very quickly here with you. But well, look, you know what? Before I get there, I really want to talk to you about something that's important to me. I'm not going to let one more minute go by. And this is about AMAC. And I want you to think about this. Our country is at a crossroads, and there are people trying to tear down so many of the things that we hold dear. You know what I mean? Our history, our heritage, from attacks on our founding fathers to attacks on the men and women in blue who defend our country, tearing down our statues. We're facing the assault of our most cherished freedoms, folks. we're facing an assault. That's why I've partnered with my friends at AMAC. I'm so excited about this, who are standing up to defend our freedoms. Yes, AMAC provides valuable discounts and benefits to those who join. But more importantly, they do so while boldly defending our Constitution, individual liberties, and basic moral compass. AMAC fights for you folks. They fight for the future generations, and they fight for the future of your country, right? That's the kind of friends we want. Those are the friends that will stand by you. So will you stand with AMAC, or will you let them stand alone to fight against liberal socialist storm that's trying to blow down your country? I stand with AMAC, and I hope you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Don't forget to do it. You're not going to regret it. It's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to get back over here to what I think is so important, and the reason why I'm here, and the reason why I believe so much in what I do and sharing information with you, right? Because you are the public. Like me, I want to be educated. I want to know what's going on in Washington, and I don't always have the time. So I'll rely on other journalists and reporters and senators and congressmen. I want you to, if you get a chance, to go on Senator Ron Johnson's website, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, and read the summary. It's a summary. It's like, let me see how many pages I got here. 6 pages. 6 pages. You don't have to read the entire report, but read these 6 pages. And this is about Hunter Biden, Burisma, and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs report. This goes into detail about Hunter Biden and his alleged actions in both Ukraine and China, and actual documentation and evidence of State Department officials in the Obama administration, like George Kent, who were warning the president, we're not comfortable with this. We're not comfortable with the vice president's son, sitting on a board in Ukraine, making $50,000 to $83,000 a month when he doesn't even know anything about energy. I've talked to sources. I've talked to people just recently who said that Hunter Biden was involved in a lot of business activity in Washington, D.C., some of them government related with this company, and was paid exorbitant amounts of money for doing minimal work. Another thing that we have to ask ourselves, would we get this kind of treatment? Would our children receive this kind of treatment? Think about it. Would your kids get this kind of treatment if they were caught smoking crack in the military? If there were all these bizarre text messages? You guys are going to hear about this. You do not want to leave, because Mayor Giuliani is just letting the cat out of the bag. In this podcast, he is letting the cat out of the bag. I'm very concerned about some of these text messages that appear to be very incendiary. He's talking about his own worries about actually being a problem for children. Like, he's concerned about himself. Could be his drug addiction, could be a lot of things. But I want you to know that the FBI under Director Christopher Wray has had that hard drive since December 2019, folks. December 2019, and they will not tell us what they have done. It's like ongoing investigation. Okay, maybe. How long can that be ongoing? How long has the Clinton Foundation been an ongoing investigation? Ask yourself that question. I've talked to so many FBI agents that were irate over what happened with Hillary Clinton and that foundation. Now we're hearing it's back on again. This is the never ending investigations by the FBI, right? That just go nowhere. Wheels keep spinning. We certainly hope that John Durham and Attorney General William Barr are actually going to do something. But guess what? I'm not thrilled about what's happened so far. We're only days away from the election, and there's nothing with all the evidence that we have exposed in the last, 4.5 years? People spying on a presidential campaign. And what about Leslie Stahl? What about that with 60 Minutes, where she's sitting there right in front of the president, gaslighting the president He knows President Trump knows exactly what happened. Believe me, I know exactly what happened. And Leslie Stahl is sitting there. Here's somebody who I used to like and watch. Like, oh, that's not true. Nobody was spying on your campaign. No. Yes. Do your job. Do your job, Leslie. So angering. I can't even take it because it's so frustrating that we live in a country that we should, it's defend it with, we've had people defend it with their own blood. And we are just slowly giving away all our rights. We're going to talk about big tech in the interview with Mayor Giuliani. We're going to talk about your rights as Americans, your First Amendment rights. We're going to talk about what would a second Trump presidency be like? What would it look like? What would he do to make your life better? Ask yourself that question when you go to the ballot box. When you walk to the ballot box, ask yourself, who's going to make my life better? Am I going to pay less taxes? Am I going to be able to rebuild my business? Am I going to have someone defend me against the big tech giants monopoly? Am I going to are they going to have jobs back here in America? Bring them back. Who's going to stand up to China? Who's going to stand up to Russia? Look at the Obama administration's record on foreign policy. And then you tell me with a straight face that Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, who's going to be the actual president, will do anything for us that President Trump won't do. He will stand up to China. He will stand up to Russia like he has been. Look at what happened in Syria. You know what? I could go on forever, but remember what happened in Syria with the strike in Syria where he gave the Russians, like, you guys got 1 hour because I'm not putting up with this. I drew a red line and I'm going to send those bombers there. And if you don't move, too bad, so sad. Russians got hurt. Russians got killed. You know what Obama did? He turned over Syria to Russia. If you want to be realistic about what's happened between these last two administrations, that's what happened. The only person selling out to Russia and the Chinese and everybody else and the Iranians was the Obama administration. We'll get to Rudy Giuliani in a moment. I know you're all on the edge of your seats. Y'all want to hear Rudy. But before we go there, I want to talk to you about Super Beets. Super Beets soft chews. They combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient. It's called grapeseed extract. I don't know how to tell you guys how good these things are. It's like literally eating a candy. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a candy and it's not going to harm you. It's only going to give you energy like I have all this energy and make you feel great. I can prove it to you. I have been taking them now for weeks. I feel like I have more energy. I feel more in control of myself. I feel more awake and alive. It's just great. These are Super Beets soft chews. Their grapeseed extract they use in Super Beets chews has been clinically shown to be 2 times as effective as supporting normal blood pressure as healthy lifestyle alone. Think about that. Better blood pressure means more energy the way nature intended without jittery caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support you need and the energy you want. Do what I did and support your heart health with delicious Super Beets chews. Get your Super Beets chews today at getsuperbeets.com/Carter. And when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in a third for free. How about that? That's getsuperbeets.com/Carter. Put that Carter in there. You get your 3rd bag for free, guys. So I'm going to get as quickly as I can to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, controversial figure, an amazing man who did so much for New York City. He is a very close friend of President Donald Trump. He has been a very good friend to President Donald Trump. But more importantly, he's been a great friend to the American people for getting this information out and exposing what has been happening inside Washington, D.C. in this deep swamp of corruption. And for the first time, folks, we've got people that actually want to clean it up. I'm going to call you Mayor. Can I call you Mayor?
You sure can.
Because I still want to call you Mayor anytime, Mayor. I'm first of all, thank you so much for being a part of the Sarah Carter Show. I think it's
very. Not at all. It's a pleasure, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think it's an important venue, having podcasts and websites to get the real message out to the American people, because we're really seeing a clamping down on our First Amendment freedoms, Rudy. And we've seen that particularly with the biggest story, I think, of the year, which is the Hunter Biden scandal and the laptop and all of the information that we've seen regarding Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and their foreign business dealings. What goes through your mind when you see what's happened? I mean, after the New York Post broke these bombshell reports based on the laptop that was delivered to you from this gentleman in Delaware, and you see Twitter and other social media platforms just shutting it down, trying to stop the story before the election.
Well, I didn't think that could ever happen in America. It is outrageous. It's beyond illegal. It shows no respect at all for our Constitution or our values as a people. This is a highly relevant information that the public has a need to know before they make a decision. It Absolutely. Is, and it's being suppressed. It's being covered up. It contains significant evidence of criminal activity. It's covered up by big tech, by the big media, and some of the big businesses. And all the reasons for it are completely corrupt. I mean, one reason is they want to elect Biden and not Trump because Trump is going to regulate them. I mean, Trump is going to end this monopoly, and he'll be like Teddy Roosevelt was. And, you know, they've seen Trump when he wants to get something done, and within 1 year, this will never happen again. If Biden becomes president, we're going to be living with censorship like this anytime they want to do it.
I absolutely agree with you there. You know, I've spoken to Senator Ron Johnson. I'm pulling this up right here. Here's the Hunter Biden, Burisma and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. This was the report that the Senate put together, a summary of their report about what was happening overseas. And when you think about the consequences, and I'm going to go back to what you just said about clamping down on our First Amendment freedoms and our ability as Americans to make sound judgments on our leaders, right? And one of the things that Senator Johnson was talking about in this report is the national security implications of the Bidens dabbling in financial institutions in China that are connected to the Communist Party, again in Ukraine on the board of Burisma, making as much as $83,000 a month. Hunter Biden was $50,000 to $83,000 a month on the board of Burisma. We saw what happened with Devin Archer. I mean, we are really seriously in a predicament now at this point in time. And the American people, for the most part, unless they're actually spending time watching maybe Fox News or listening to the radio or getting their news off the internet in specific platforms, they're not hearing about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely contrary to what America is all about. I only can conclude that these people who are doing it have decided that there are other things that are more important, like they're making money in China, or they're having a president who will be compliant with their ability to do anything that they want. Because up until now, big tech has been able to do anything it wants, and we let it grow into a monopoly.
Let's talk.
And now it's really completely trashing our right of free speech. That has to be stopped.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. What was the most significant find? What do you think shocked you the most, particularly with the laptop? Especially when you're thinking of the complexity about the fact that Hunter Biden, his connection to his father, what was it in there, first of all, that shocked you the most? And why were you concerned at all at the beginning when you received the laptop? I know there's been a lot of people talking. They tried to play it off. They tried to say that this wasn't real. I know this is something that Joe Biden has brought up. This isn't true, he said, although now it's been proven to be true. Were you at all concerned that maybe there was something going on here? Explain that a little so the audience
when you see it, you have to say to yourself, is somebody setting me up? Is it some...
Right.
So we investigated that. My lawyer did first when he got it. I did it myself when I got it. And the New York Post did it for 5 days before they published it. So we all separately verified it based on people that we knew we could call that would have communicated with this, based on 2 pieces of information that I have that are highly confidential, that only Hunter Biden would have known. Of course, the photographs help you a great deal to verify it. Nobody would have these photographs but him in China. Photographs are clear pornography, verging on perverted sexual acts, and then a large number of young underage girls, and then a very disturbing text about how he's a danger to children, which he writes to his father. So it's got federal crimes. It's got about $40 million worth of bribery over the years that he was vice president. It has endangerment of children. And he has an inordinate fascination with 14 and 15-year-old girls that somebody has to take a look at. The FBI has been delinquent in doing that for 10 months.
That's where I want to go. I find that incredible, too. Director Christopher Wray has basically had this hard drive in the FBI's possession since December 2019. Am I right on that?
That's absolutely correct. And when they first asked the gentleman about it, they asked him, does it have any pornography on it? And the gentleman said no, because he hadn't gotten to the photographic section. He had really stopped at the section that involves Ukraine, right, because he was so surprised that all the things they were denying on television turned out to be lies, that Hunter Biden and his father had talked about Burisma many times, that his father was very aware of Burisma and what was involved. And remember, there you have a double bribe. First, the crooked Ukrainian Mykola Zlochevsky, who stole $5.6 billion, basically hires Joe to fix the case for him. I mean, the idea that prosecutor was fired because of Hunter Biden is ridiculous. Prosecutor was fired because they had to dismiss the case on the big guy, where there was $5.8 million at stake. And that's what earned Joe $14 million, which is what he got ultimately out of Ukraine.
It's just an incredible amount of money. The emails and the text messages
helped to corroborate that.
Why do you think it is that the mainstream media is refusing to investigate this? I mean, I think that we know they side with Joe Biden, but considering that, and I'm taking this is alleged, I haven't seen them yet, but it sounds very serious. I do believe what you're saying, that there's possibly pictures in there of alleged minors, statements that Hunter Biden has made himself, apparently in these alleged text messages back and forth to his dad. Why is it that the FBI is not doing a thing? And then the mainstream media that has been so adamant about against human trafficking, standing up for the women, Me Too movement, all of this is just ignoring this completely. Is it hypocrisy? What is it?
Has to be hypocrisy, Sarah. I mean, you can't look at this and not get angry. I can't look at these pictures. And it took me about 5 days to get to them because I did the text first. Bernie Carrick and I were going over it. We realized we were watching an inordinate number of pictures of underage girls and a particular girl. There's one girl that's on there underage more often than anyone else, including his many different lovers. And it jumps out at you. Just jumps out at you. There's something wrong here. And then I found the following text, which is almost self-explanatory and should lead the police to show up at the door right after they read this text. This is a text from Hunter to his father, and it's dated September 23rd, 2018. And it reads as follows. She is referring to his sister-in-law, who he took up with after his brother died, if you remember.
Right.
She told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate with, she mentions a 14-year-old girl's name, when she says that I FaceTime naked with her. And the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked, smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. When she was pressed, she said that I never said anything like that. But the bottom line is that I create and cause a very unsafe environment for the kids. When you see that, and then you look at these many, many photos where sexual activity with adults is over the top. Some people could consider it perverted. The number of pictures of the girls are inordinate. One is particularly bad. You've got to take this somewhat, you got to take this seriously. And he's actually saying, even if I didn't do these other things, I present a very unsafe environment for the kids.
Well, absolutely. Somebody who's an addict, somebody who appears to be highly unstable, somebody who has access to a large financial sum of money from foreign actors. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to the president. I do not ask you to divulge any information,
Sure.
that in private conversations with him. But there has to be reasonable consideration here that there are national security implications in relation to Hunter Biden, his activities, and his father. I mean, on a big scale here, not only with what we're seeing as sexual activity, possibly, and I say allegedly because I need to really see this, and the FBI needs to investigate with underage girls. But the fact that, his dealings with these foreign adversaries, this could be used as blackmail, right?
No question about it. In fact, I do believe that the last deal that the Chinese were putting together, they were putting together specifically for the purpose of blackmail, because it was being done by a Chinese organized criminal named Xi Jinping. He's a high-level member of the Communist Party. He's an organized criminal. He's a murderer. And he runs a lot of front businesses in order to inveigle people in. So they put together a business with the Bidens, the Chinese communists did. And the business included Joe, Jim, and Sarah Biden. But an undisclosed member of the partnership was Joe Biden. So,
whoa, wait a minute. So an undisclosed member of that contract was actually Joe Biden, and you have evidence of that.
Well, here's what I have. I have the contract. It doesn't have him in it. And then I have this side memo, and I don't know if you can see that, but it says down here, 10% held by H for the big guy. And then we have internal text messages where people refer to Joe Biden as the big guy.
That's right.
And finally, we have Mr. Bobulinski, who testifies that he was there when this was done. And yes, Joe did get 10% of the equity. And he was a participating partner, maybe the principal one. And that Joe was also going to receive additional amounts of money from Hunter, because Hunter split everything he got 50-50 with his father. So
right.
This is a big deal. There's $30 million, $10 million a year for 3 years, 50% equity, all for making introductions.
Right. And Tony Bobulinski is basically supporting, and he came out and said, and for everyone out there who doesn't know, Tony was a business partner of Hunter Biden. He came out, he said he couldn't take it anymore. He saw his name in these emails that were disclosed finally by Rudy and the New York Post. The mayor and the New York Post disclosed all of this. And Tony Bobulinski said, I want to come out and I want to clear my name, and I want to let everybody know that these emails are for real. This is not Russian disinformation. This is not disinformation whatsoever. And he verified a lot of this, what came forward. And now he's going to be apparently interviewed by the FBI, right, Rudy?
I think he has been already, Sarah. There's also, to support him, there's a memo, a text message. It's actually a screenshot from May 20, 2017. It's from James Giuliani, who's the other person involved in this with Bobulinski. And he gives him a warning. Don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you are face to face with him. I know you know that, but they are paranoid.
So why do you think, with all of this evidence, with all of this mounting evidence, what do you think is going on here that, I mean, I feel like I'm living in upside down land, that nobody even cares about actual tangible evidence, yet they were willing to go crazy in 2016 over complete lies and a disinformation campaign by an actual foreign intelligence officer that was working for Hillary Clinton. But yet you have the information right here. I mean, do you feel, I'm asking you personally, Mayor, do you feel like you've been just targeted over and over again because of your support for the president?
Yes, I know. Also, This is in the context of that Brennan handwritten letter to the president, basically saying in words of substance that Hillary concocted the Russian collusion in order to take attention away from her computer. So
that's right.
That's been hidden for 4 years, Sarah. At any time when I was representing him, had I had that, I could have gotten the whole thing dismissed at any time.
That's absolutely true. And this, so everyone out there understands, before I go quickly to a quick little break here, so everyone out there understands what the mayor's talking about, what Mayor Giuliani's talking about is John Brennan. And it was this very highly classified notes that John Brennan basically had handwritten about his briefing to President Barack Obama about Hillary Clinton, and information that the intelligence agencies had gathered that basically she had approved an operation against President Trump, approved of some kind of operation to connect him to Russia. And this was information that was withheld from everyone, including the president's attorneys, for over 4 years. 4 years withheld. So I'm going to take a little break here, Rudy. I'm going to come to you on the flip side because we have a little care of business and I got to keep the lights running. Do you have cats? Well, I do. And you know, guys, wet stuff stinks. That means the litter box. I'm not talking about, laundry issues or other things that you have to clean up after, but litter boxes stink. Not if you have Arm & Hammer and their new Absorb-X. I mean, this is for multi-cat or even a single cat. And I've got one big single cat. And this cat litter is literally made with desert dry minerals. It absorbs wetness in seconds, taking that wet odor out of the picture. Go to armandhammer.com/bounty and get $4 off your box of quick absorbing Absorb-X and have a nice dry day. Thank you so much, Rudy, for
not at all.
Bearing with me through that break. I know. Let's talk about what's happening now. What are you doing now? What are the next steps? Are we waiting for the FBI to conclude this investigation? I know the Senate said that they weren't going to call Tony Bobulinski before the Senate until the FBI interviewed him. I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to ask you about the developments in the Russia hoax scandal. We're not seeing any movement out of the Attorney General's office. I doubt we'll see anything before the election. And we're not seeing enough movement by the Senate. I feel the Senate makes a lot of promises other than Senator Ron Johnson now and Grassley. There's a lot of promises made and not a lot of action taken.
Well, they've been covering it up from the very beginning. I brought these allegations about Joe Biden to the Senate in December of 2019. And They weren't interested in it because he was a senator. Before me, a former U.S. attorney named Bud Cummings brought these allegations to the Southern District of New York. That would be in October or November of 2019. And the Southern District of New York was more interested in chasing Stormy Daniels and buried this. And then I brought this evidence at the request of Attorney General Barr to the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh. And at that point, I had 5 or 6 witnesses, about 100 documents, all ready to testify if somebody would interview them. And that's now 10 months and nobody's interviewed.
What's going on here? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, Sarah.
Have you asked Attorney General Barr? Have you asked Attorney General William Barr? Have you talked to the FBI?
He said it's being handled, but there's no apparent handling of it. I have to come to the conclusion it's being buried, and for no reason.
Do you think? Let me ask you this: if this was one of our kids, Mayor Giuliani, if this was President Trump's son, one of his sons, Eric or Don Jr., do you think? I know you're gonna. Do you think?
Oh, Sarah,
we'd get the same treatment? What do you think would happen?
I think every American, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservatives, should sit back and answer that question for themselves. And if they think the treatment would be the same, they really aren't paying attention and they really have no common sense. I mean, I think every Democrat would tell you, of course, it would be much worse if it were the Trumps. But it shouldn't be much worse. America is supposed to have equal justice. Should be the same for Biden as for Trump. That's the only way we can exist as a democracy. We do this too much longer, we're going to ruin our democracy.
Well, and for civil libertarians out there, for people that say they're civil libertarians, that they fight for equal justice, that they're fighting for First Amendment rights, that they don't want our Fourth Amendment trampled on, because you know as well as I do. And I'm going to, I'm going to ask you this question, and I've got just a few more questions. I know I'm keeping you a little bit longer than I expected. That for them, I mean, this is what we have seen over the last 5 years as a complete violation of the foundation that this country was based on. I mean, our First Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, basically a trampling on our Constitution, spying on a presidential candidate and then a president of these United States. I mean, this is treason. It borders on treason. This is what a coup d'etat, right? Or a soft coup in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think, certainly not in modern times, of anything like this. It reminds me of the movie 7 Days in May, when the generals tried to overthrow the president. This is fiction. It's not. Americans don't try to overthrow their government. Americans don't frame innocent people, much less the president or president-elect of the United States. I don't know if this is just how many times this has been done. Sarah, I have a broader view of this, I think. Mm-hmm. I keep asking myself, there are an awful lot of good Democrats and good people. I think there are just as many good people that are Democrats as Republicans. It's the head of the party that's corrupted completely. And I think the Clintons began it. I think the Clintons corrupted it from the head down. And it's remained that way because I think Obama followed what Clinton was doing. And either Obama is part of this or he enables it by not paying attention to it.
Do you think anyone will ever pay the price for this, Mayor? Do you think that in any...
Yes, I do.
You do. So do you think John Durham will actually follow through with his work on his criminal probe?
I think with this new evidence, he should be able to conclude some things very, very quickly. He is a bit of a slow worker. There are lawyers like that. This would have been a job for somebody with a little more understanding of the clock we're working on here. And, he gets elected. I don't think he will, but if he gets elected and then to come down with your indictment on March 5th, you have the country in a terrible bind.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything inside that hard drive that you have not made public that is basically explosive or damning evidence that maybe the FBI is aware of? Something that you think absolutely beyond pretty explosive stuff already. I mean, as far as Hunter Biden and the allegations that were made here, I believe that's very damning. But is there anything else in there that you think is a direct smoking gun to... There are several others that we'll give out as soon as we have them properly understood. The thing I have to caution you is there's more in this hard drive than we're ever going to be able to get to in a week. So we've done it by priority order. We began with Ukraine and China because we knew the most about it. And we concentrated on the two big transactions in China. There are a lot of smaller transactions with China. They did a lot of business with China. They did more business with China than any other country. And then there are deals with Romania, Kazakhstan. Are there any direct with Russia?
Oh, sure. There's a $3.5 million payment from Elena Butarina to Hunter Biden. And there is no apparent reason for it, except if you read the emails and the text carefully, it appears as if they're trying to begin to set up a money laundering operation. And this may refer to the one that the Bureau is investigating.
Okay. So that everyone understands this, this was the ex-mayor of Moscow's wife, and she had sent $3.5 million allegedly in a transaction. Now, Hunter Biden and Vice President Joe Biden, I'm not sure if he's denied that yet, but have they denied this transaction or no?
They have not.
Okay, they have not denied it. So it's out there. There are all these allegations. I want to give you an opportunity to address anything you want right now. I know I'm going to have to bring this up. Do you have anything to say to Borat? Anything at all before I...
The last time I saw him, he was in his underwear running away from the police.
Oh.
mean, the reality is it was an attempt. It was an attempt. I have the script. It was an attempt to see if I would accept a massage from this reporter who turned, from a reporter into a seductress.
A seductress.
And the minute she mentioned the word massage, my next two words were, Brian, call the police. I realized at that point it was some kind of a sham interview. I did nothing wrong.
Right. So, Mayor, let me ask you this, because I'm constantly worried about this. Before I became more of a columnist, I was working as a journalist for like 2 decades, war zones, everything. And then, of course, the war zone of Washington, D.C. swamp with John Solomon and all the Russia hoax stories and everything that we could get out, possibly dig up. Always concerned about this town and basically the world in general, but especially now with all of the technology. I mean, I'm always worried. I feel like, if you've got a target on your back, you got a target on your back.
Oh, my goodness. I got a big one. Yeah.
So that's got to be a concern for you. I mean, it's got to be something.
The only good thing is I've been through it so often, it doesn't distract me.
Right.
I know what I do. I know the law.
Right.
I'm careful as I can be.
Right.
And I just don't allow myself to be intimidated.
Right.
She's not. In fact, I kind of see it as we must be really zeroing in on the target. I mean, look, they attempted to keep me off television 6 months ago. Most extraordinary letter. Biden writes a letter to all the networks. You can't put Rudy Giuliani on. And some of them don't put me on. When did a candidate ever tell the networks who they can put on and who they can't put on?
Right. Right. That is pretty incredible. And you're absolutely right that we live in a different time now. One more thing. What would you like to tell to everyone who's, all of the listeners out there, everybody who's out there just trying to get along with their everyday life? There are a lot of people out there that support President Trump, some that are on the fence, some that aren't sure yet which direction they want to go. What is your message for them? And then I'll let you respond quickly to what happened in New York.
If you're on the fence or you're even supporting Biden right now, remember that if you elect him and not Trump, you're going to have this censorship forever. I mean, this is not just big media and big tech. This is a conspiracy. Biden is in tight with them. They own him. And anytime he's going to need help, they're going to just keep it out of the newspapers. So we'll be living in something akin to Soviet Russia with Pravda or East Germany with their government-owned media. We're going to move in one day. If we make a mistake, we're going to move from a free press to a press that is controlled by the Democrat Party, by Facebook, by Google. That's very dangerous. And that's the reason why, among others, they should vote for Trump. He also happened to have been a terrific president. And he will do just the opposite. He'll break them up like Teddy Roosevelt did. He'll break up those monopolies. And we'll have choice, and we'll have competition. We'll have some conservative ones and some liberal ones and some in-between ones. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
This is America. They are trying in so many ways, and I believe George Soros is behind a lot of this because he's the biggest funder to the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. And to many of the district attorneys all over the country who are letting people out of jail.
And by the way, for all of you out there who are listening to this, it's not a conspiracy theory. What Mayor Giuliani is saying is actually fact. Read the Los Angeles Times. Read all the papers, the Boston Globe. Everybody's been talking about this. Open Society Foundation, run by Soros, has actually put a ton of money into this so that they can bring prosecutors and that are more like-minded and take over the. I mean, this is a really serious issue we're having here in the United States right now. So it's fundamentally one of the biggest problems we have. And you're right. If this goes Joe Biden's way, which I don't believe it will, but for those of you out there who are listening, if you're on the fence, really listen to what we're saying here, because this is an absolute fact. There are very few people that are willing to take on big tech. President Trump is one of them, and he will stand in front of the line to take down these monopolies so that they won't control the narrative and that they will give back what they had promised originally, which was a voice for the American people, an open platform where ideas could flow, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, or whether you're a Green Party member. It doesn't matter, but an open platform where everybody can talk. Thank you so much, Mayor Giuliani.
Thank you, Sarah. And great work on the whole hoax. You're one of the great heroes. I know you took a lot of pressure and a lot of threats, but you did a great job, Sarah.
Oh, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough.
God
but you
bless
know,
you.
well, thank you so much. And God bless you and all the hard work you're doing. And I know someone's trying to reach you desperately, so I'm going to let you get that phone call.
Thank you, my dear.
Anytime. Thank you, Mayor. I got to tell you, that was a very intense interview with Mayor Giuliani, only because I know the sensitivity of this subject. And I know some of you may be saying, you know, why didn't this come out earlier? Why wasn't all this information? I asked the same question. I know that a lot of people were waiting for the FBI to make a move on this. There was a lot of frustration. Nobody did. Finally, you know, Rudy Giuliani, along with others, Steve Bannon, I believe, as well, gave the information to the New York Post. Allowed them to do their own verifying of that. And then the New York Post decided to run the story. The Wall Street Journal did not want to run the stories at first. And, you know, you got to ask yourself these questions. Why are people so afraid of just getting the truth to the American public? You know, they weren't afraid of doing it to President Trump. I want you to think about what happened. As soon as, you know, Brennan, Clapper, and all these folks, including Hillary Clinton and the DNC, leaked out all these lies on President Trump, the Washington Post nor the New York Times tried to independently verify any of it. They didn't. They ran a smear campaign for their friends. That's how dangerous it is, right? And I was thinking about this the other day because, you know, when I first came to Washington, I was so excited. A journalist, I was a young journalist. I'm coming to Washington. I'm a Pentagon correspondent. I'm going to work. You know, I was working at the Washington Times and I was working at the Pentagon. And I remember going to my very first, the White House dinner. You know, it was the big dinner, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I think this was right at the end of the Bush administration, before the Obama administration came in. And I remember seeing stars there and reporters. And I was thinking, wow, I've come a long way from, you know, Daily Bulletin, Montclair, California, where I was, you know, actually working on local stories and the local beat. I was more excited about going overseas and, you know, really covering the war zone. But it occurred to me that there's just too much collusion in Washington, right? And it's not something that you plan on as a journalist when you come out here. It's something that just happens because we've allowed it to happen. You know, a lot of the journalists, probably don't even want me telling you this. They don't want you to know about what goes on here secretly. A lot of them are great journalists. They work really hard. I'm not saying that they all do this. But there's a lot of partying in Washington, D.C. with officials. They all want to be invited to the White House. People want those connections. They pretty much, the press corps, the White House press corps hates President Trump. Why? Because, well, President Trump doesn't talk to them. He doesn't leak secret stuff to them all the time. He just tells the American people exactly how he feels on Twitter. Even if Twitter's going to block him, he doesn't care. He's just going to tell you how he feels. You might not like it, but you're always going to know where he comes from. He's not promising the Washington Post or the New York Times anything. And you also have an issue with people in the administration, right? In Trump's administration, too. In Obama's administration, too. In Bush's administration, too. They all work in the administration, but they all want to be on television. They all want to get contracts to be contractors on television. So nobody is really doing their job. They're kind of feeding off of each other. And it's a disservice to the American public. It really is. It's the biggest joke. Look, I jumped from investigative journalist to investigative columnist because I realized after the Russia stories, I was fed up with how everything was being run. I wanted to be able to talk openly and honestly about how I was feeling with the American public. It's the reason I do what I do. It's the reason I did what I did. You know, that was a part of me. I've become something different now. My job's evolved into a different direction, but I'm still doing my job. I still want to bring you the stories. I'm just doing it differently. You know where I'm coming from. I'm not pretending to be anything different. I never did, actually. I loved what I did the way I did it. But Washington, D.C. is a swamp, folks. And sometimes you just got to speak up. I think the lesson learned here, and talking about people going to cable networks, look at John Brennan, James Clapper, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page with the FBI. So believe me, there's a lot of tit for tat here, right? I'll give you this if you give me that, whatever this is. I never was so lucky with that. I'm still waiting. I'm just fingers crossed. But I love what I do. I love what I do. I love what I did. I love the fact that we were a part of exposing the Russia hoax. But I also think we got to get back to a point where we are holding our officials accountable, not being afraid to ask the tough questions. But more importantly, this is before an election. We have to remember why we're going to the ballot box, why we're voting. I hope some of you already voted early, about how remarkable our nation is, peaceful transition of power, and how much as Americans we fought for this God-given freedom, right? To be able to do this and to support one another and to love one another. And don't let this crazy media environment or the Chinese or the Russians or anybody or any of these politicians try to divide you. Take a moment to thank someone. I believe we're all going to get through this together. I believe President Trump is going to make it through this. I believe we're all going to make it through this. And all, you know what? And we'll see each other on the other side. But don't forget about what we're fighting for. Don't forget about who you are. And don't forget about what a great nation you live in. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sarah Carter Show. You mean so much to me. Thank you again for following us. I mean, we're doing great. Our show's getting bigger and bigger every single day. So if you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please give us a 5-star rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We read them, we take them to heart, and we work on the podcast to make it better and better every single day. Remember, I'm coming to you from beautiful Radio America. This is the Sarah Carter Show. Remember, folks, we're taking the story back.
Hi, it's Dana Lash, host of The Dana Show. Every day, I'm here to keep you up to speed on the most important stories and info that you need to know in your very busy life. And if you're always on the go and you want to stay connected, just download our daily podcast and take it with you. It's a great way to get up to speed on what you need to know and what legacy media may not be telling you. Visit danaradio.com and click on the podcast link or subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.